So, okay, I got it.
I'm planning on going back to UFC.
You do?
If they'll have me, I would like to go back and fucking whoop someone's ass there.
Well, who would you want to if it was offered? Justin Gaethje, it sounds like.
I'm not fighting at 55 though, but right now I'm not fighting in there because there's nobody to fight really. It's kind of slow rolling.
I feel like UFC would.
I don't really have a name in mind right now in the UFC. That's why I'm not there right now. Otherwise,
but the name, the draw, the excitement that you'd bring to it, I feel like it's really lacking in UFC. Everybody's
that's
rushing, everybody's
like, I'd
wrestling.
be there if there was somebody that I wanted to go fight. But
I want to see the rubber match with Conor McGregor.
with time for sure. Yeah, whenever he's back, me and him for sure got unfinished. Gotta have.
If there's another fight that would sell and it would be huge, it would be that. It would be Diaz 3.
Oh yeah.
That could be, especially if Diaz gets past Poirier.
Yes.
Even if he doesn't. I mean, just that fight alone. I mean, there's the history between those two guys. I mean, that would be.
And it's so appealing stylistically as well. The fight, you know,
Yeah.
like I'm a grappler at heart. I love grappling, but I also understand that a jiu-jitsu tournament will put people to sleep. You know, even if you're into jiu-jitsu, it's hard to watch a jiu-jitsu tournament.
Yes.
But anybody can see a punch hitting someone in the head and then falling down. That's that's exciting. And him and Diaz is such a great personality matchup. It's such a great skill clash. If I was to design somebody that's going to bring the best out of corner, you'd want someone that can hit back and take a big shot and put up at the trash. It's a beautiful fight. I would love to see that rematch.
Yeah, the thing about Diaz when they first fought was that he didn't give a fuck about trash talk. It didn't bother him at all.
The sound of opportunity opening echoed through the MMA world when Nate Diaz made his intentions crystal clear. With the White House card dangling like bait, Diaz cut through all the noise and pointed straight at Conor McGregor, signaling that unfinished business never truly dies. This wasn't about legacy tours or championship pursuits, but about raw, unresolved rivalry that still burns hot. When chaos meets history and old wounds refuse to heal, you get moments like this where attention and bad blood create their own gravitational pull.
Story that Conor McGregor is being talked to headline the White House card. I don't buy it. I can't buy it. Why are we would be turning to Conor McGregor? And the answer is also out there because he is the sport's biggest star. That is true. So is that what you need? If you've got the open checkbook and you've got the magic wand, without saying names, do you say, I'm going to put as my main event the sport's biggest star? Is that your answer? Does it matter who he's fighting? What if it's a championship match? If you have an open checkbook and you have a magic wand and you don't use any names, but you're going to put the championship on, would you say heavyweight? Would you say women's 135? Would you say wherever Kazmat Chimaev's at? Like, how is it that you would answer that question? And then what if you're really going to go for a big fight? What if you really follow this for a long time? You're going to do what we used to call a super fight, but now we call it title versus title. You're going to take the champion of a weight.
When presented with the White House opportunity, Nate Diaz didn't dance around possibilities or entertain other options. McGregor's name was the only one that lit up his radar, cutting through any sales pitch or elaborate promotion. The approach was refreshingly direct, no bells and whistles, just the raw acknowledgement that certain matchups transcend everything else in importance. With Diaz signaling his readiness and fans clamoring for closure, that elusive third chapter hovers in the atmosphere, waiting for timing rather than permission, with everyone understanding the magnetic pull of this unresolved saga.
Last thing, White House card, like he said, you want Conor McGregor?
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE, so
right.
It's like, at least that's happening and getting something to talk about, something to watch, and I'm looking forward to that fight actually.
Now fans want it.
Javante and Paul should be good, and then because what else are you looking forward to? Hurry up.
Nothing.
Hurry up. What else?
If it's not you, McGregor, Ryan, it's nobody.
So it's good. It's good.
Now fans want you versus McGregor 3. Do you want that fight?
Yeah, for sure.
White House?
Yeah. What time?
Dana White poured ice water on trilogy hopes while keeping the door slightly ajar. White emphasized that time remains the ultimate wildcard in this sport, where 12 months can completely reshape landscapes, especially with McGregor hinting at his return and Diaz expressing genuine interest. Making concrete predictions now seems pointless when cards, champions, and organizational priorities shift like sand, and next year's Independence Day could reveal an entirely transformed competitive landscape. The concept isn't buried, White suggested. It's simply waiting for the right constellation of circumstances to align.
Conor McGregor said he's back in the pool. Nate Diaz said he would love to be the opponent. Are you interested in that trilogy?
That fight's a year away. Landscape will change so much by next 4th of July. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows who's going to be on the card? What the main event will be, or who will hold all the titles? Everything could be completely different. So it's not even worth thinking about it right now.
Michael Bisping cut straight to the heart of the matter with his big picture perspective. Should Nate Diaz mount a comeback and Conor McGregor genuinely return, Bisping sees zero hesitation in making that the definitive fight every single time. Their rivalry already sits among the sport's most legendary feuds, and anchoring it to a White House card would instantly establish the event's magnitude, particularly when surrounded by other blockbuster encounters at the summit. Bisping's reasoning transcends mere promotional strategy, acknowledging that McGregor doesn't require another fight, yet the sport's magnetic pull and the allure of one final moment, one concluding victory, makes his participation in such a historic event feel almost destined.
If Nate Diaz was to come back, but if he was, and if Conor McGregor does actually make it back, I think that's the fight to make all day long. The one-on-one, there were some of the biggest fights in UFC history. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor at the White House would be absolutely insane. It probably will have Tom Aspinall versus John Jones in the main event. It probably will have Conor McGregor versus someone, Michael Chandler or Nate Diaz, in the co-main event. So that just kind of sets the tone for how big that card would be. What do you think? Do you think Conor McGregor will actually make it back? Of course, he hasn't fought since 2021, right? It's going to be 5 years since he last fought. I, for one, fair play to the guy. Fair play, man. Respect. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to come back. He's got lots of other avenues and ways to make money. But fighting is something that never leaves you, okay? It's a part of who you are. It's in your DNA. It's part of your soul. And he wants to come back and he wants to get his hands raised in victory. Of course, he wants to come back and be a part of that.
Expanding his vision beyond individual rivalries, Bisping shifted toward pure spectacle and pointed to John Jones versus Alex Pereira as the super fight that would overshadow everything else. Pereira's meteoric ascent, his undeniable star magnetism, and his cross-divisional accomplishments make this potential clash feel almost surreal in its possibilities. Should Pereira topple Jones, Bisping argued, it would cement a legacy unlike anything the sport has witnessed. Yet he remained tethered to reality, acknowledging that McGregor versus Chandler appears to be the expected path forward, though politics, power dynamics, and behind-the-scenes relationships can suddenly reshape even the most established plans.
Fair, if we're talking about super fights, if we're talking about something that's really going to get the MMA world excited, then it would be John Jones versus Alex Pereira, right? Alex Pereira is one of the biggest stars. He came back in style and destroyed Magomed Ankalaev. The man's phenomenal. He's unbelievable. He's a two-weight division champion. What he's achieved in this sport is ridiculous. If he was to face John Jones and if he was to beat him, then I guess he would go on and fight for the third belt, and that'd be it. That'd be set in stone. Alex Pereira would, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, be the greatest mixed martial artist to ever compete. Simple as that. There's no one that's fought for 3 belts or won 3 belts. Just the thought of that alone is crazy. I mean, it took me about, 26 fights in the UFC to even get 1 title shot. So they're not easy to come by. Anyway, so there's that. Now they're talking about Conor McGregor fighting Michael Chandler. That's going to be the fight that happens. We all know about that. There's nothing new there. And the thing is, if Donald Trump wants it, if the President of the United States wants it, and as Eric says in that video, him and Dana are...
The MMA guru redirected attention to timing and context from the fan's viewpoint, emphasizing practical considerations over speculation. He stressed that the next compelling fight depends entirely on Nate Diaz actually returning and making a significant statement with a major welterweight division victory. Only after such a statement would the McGregor trilogy truly capture imagination at the White House event. Currently, hardcore enthusiasts appear divided between Masvidal or Teixeira options, though many insiders, including Ariel Helwani and others, quietly favor Diaz versus McGregor as the next marquee attraction.
Because that's not the fight I want to see next. Okay, if Nate Diaz comes back and gets a big win over someone in the welterweight division, okay, and he does it impressively, and then the McGregor fight happens, that's when I'm interested. But right now, I feel like the hardcore fans are kind of in mutual agreement that it's Masvidal or Gaethje. To us, it's kind of Masvidal or Gaethje, and for Chael Sonnen and Ariel Helwani to both say that they think Nate Diaz trilogy should be next is strange to me. Very strange to me, because I would love to see either Gaethje or Masvidal. I feel like everyone's in agreement here. We've seen that Donald Cerrone has been beaten by Conor McGregor in his return at UFC 2.
Chael Sonnen approached the McGregor White House. Card headlines with measured skepticism, cutting through surrounding hype. While acknowledging McGregor as the sport's undisputed biggest star, Sonnen questioned whether stardom alone automatically qualifies someone for main event positioning. He methodically examined the card-building process with unlimited resources, weighing championship fights, heavyweight attractions, women's bantamweight bouts, or super fight title versus title confrontations. His central point crystallized around a crucial question. Does star power matter if it doesn't create the type of matchup that genuinely moves the competitive needle forward?
Story that Conor McGregor is being talked to headline the White House card. I don't buy it. I can't buy it. Why are we would be turning to Conor McGregor? And the answer is also out there, because he is the sport's biggest star. That is true. So is that what you need? If you've got the open checkbook and you've got the magic wand, without saying names, do you say, I'm going to put as my main event the sport's biggest star? Is that your answer? Doesn't matter who he's fighting. What if it's a championship match? If you have an open checkbook and you have a magic wand and you don't use any names, but you're going to put the championship on, would you say heavyweight? Would you say women's 135? Would you say wherever Kazmat Chimaev's at? Like, how is it that you would answer that question? And then what if you're really going to go for a big fight? What if you really follow this for a long time? You're going to do what we used to call a super fight, but now we call it title versus title.
Sonnen elaborated on why McGregor discussions feel increasingly questionable from a logical standpoint, penciling him into mid-2025 plans for a card scheduled for mid-2026 and an unbuilt venue with no ticket sales stretches credibility beyond reasonable limits. The fundamental issue, he contended, revolves around McGregor's current status. If he's neither champion nor legitimate title contender, positioning him as the headliner means the card's biggest attraction won't compete for championship gold. Essentially, a non-title McGregor headlining such a historic event undermines the bigger-than-big marketing message, regardless of other title fights featured on the same card.
And it's one of the reasons that I'm struggling with the idea that McGregor is being penciled in the middle of 2025 for a card that sits dead center in the middle of 2026 at a venue yet to be built for tickets that are yet to be on sale. I struggle with it because we're openly saying if we're going to put Conor on there that there's no title. Unless you believe that Conor McGregor is going to demote himself, right? The biggest draw should be the main event. Your biggest star, regardless of belt, should be the main event. But in this case, if our biggest draw and our biggest star is not a champion or a contender in any weight class, we're going to acknowledge up front that our biggest show will not contain a title, which makes it a little difficult down the road to go, this show's bigger than big. In fact, we got 2 titles up. Yes, you heard me. There's 2 titles. When can you ever get that? And nothing more important than a title fight.
Ben Askren lobbed a provocative challenge at Nate Diaz's reputation and legacy within the sport. He characterized Diaz as an average fighter who masterfully marketed himself as elite talent, despite maintaining a modest record both in the UFC and beyond. Askren framed Diaz's reputation as perception triumphing over actual performance, while acknowledging that voicing this controversial opinion publicly would likely trigger massive social media backlash from devoted fans. Whether embraced or despised, Askren's perspective guarantees heated debate throughout MMA communities and discussion forums.
No, listen, Nate Diaz, he is the most puzzling. He's not. I don't even think he's that good. I'll go get his record if you want me to. But he has convinced people he is good at fighting somehow. some way.
Pretty good.
I'm going to go get his damn record, Daniel. It's not.
But he won the Ultimate Fighter. He won the Ultimate Fighter. I'm saying he was good for the time that he was fighting.
No, he wasn't. He was average.
He was, yeah, okay. I'm just
okay.
trying.
I'm going to go get the record. I'm going to go get the record. They're going to yell at me. I know this. Okay, let's see. Well, his record is 21-13.
Oh my God. Really?
Yes, that's not that great.
Okay, I take it back. I'm taking it back.
And he was going into the UFC, he was, I think it was 5-1. So within the UFC, he was 16-12.
That's not good.
That's not very good.
That's not good. There's really no way to twist that into good.
Yeah. So but his personality, that's another one's like, how did his personality catch on? And he says funny things sometimes, he's a little bit different. I don't know. Yeah. And listen, if you post this clip, please don't post this clip because the Diaz are
Daniel Cormier injected realism into John Jones' heavyweight speculation, while John Anik outlined his White House card vision, combining practicality with fan appeal. Cormier believes Jones's optimal work and the matchup fans truly desire remains at light heavyweight, specifically envisioning a potential Alex Pereira clash at 205 pounds on the White House card, noting that Jones could still make the weight cut despite recent bulk. Anik structured his ideal card around a heavyweight championship main event featuring Tom Aspinall defending against Cyril Gane while hoping for 4 or 5 undisputed titles contested on the White House lawn. Brendan Schaub constructed his dream card featuring Arman Tsarukyan, Islam Makhachev, Sean Strickland, Alex Pereira, John Jones, plus McGregor versus Diaz, describing it as a lineup worth premium pricing. Henry Cejudo analyzed potential White House matchups and selected Jones versus Aspinall as his top choice, viewing it as perfect symbolism for America's representing a clash of legacies and the ultimate greatest of all time versus current generation showdown that could define the entire historic event.